is we're going to be talking about Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. You're a financial therapist. I'm impressed with that title, but I'm sure you're real busy these days. Let's talk about some research you have been able to understand that show men still feel pressure to be the primary provider. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, the Beyond Finance survey really is showing just how deeply ingrained the expectation is that men are supposed to be the primary provider. What the Beyond Finance survey showed was 82% of men still feel like that's what society expects of them. However, 70% of men feel like that's just not doable right now. There's rising costs, there's housing challenges, economic uncertainties. And so we've got today's expectations based in a very different situation than maybe what we're able to actually do.
Well, I've got a young staff, and I talk to them about these things, and they are saying that, and not to negate your survey, but they're saying men expect them to be a partner in providing for the household, not stay-at-home moms, but partners. Is that what the survey is kind of saying?
Well, so there's a difference between like a partner and the primary. So I think, yeah, I think there is very rightly so a shift towards, hey, we're both a team here. We both need to be able to contribute. But I still think it's one of those areas where men feel like if it's an area that falls short, it is primarily on the men to fix that problem. And even though that might not be what a man's actual values are, that's the societal expectation that a lot of men are feeling.
So this is driving them to feel stress.
Right. And the stress it's not just financial stress, it's specifically how men feel like it's part of their identity. When there's a lot of financial success, a lot of men feel like, "Oh, okay, my self-worth is higher." But on the flip side, if there's financial struggle, it often feels like an identity crisis, like there's something wrong with me, or I'm not able to fill this role, and it causes an added layer of stress, I think.
That's really interesting. I would love to dig further into that, but we've got to move on. So, why is money so tied to a man's identity? Did the survey reveal that for us?
Yeah, well, as I said, it's what men often use as the measuring stick of how well they're doing in life is how much money they're making. And we all know that that isn't correct, but it is still something that a lot of men have internalized. And one of the big problems is it's the way that men don't talk about this financial stress. In fact, one of the other things in the survey showed that over half of men have intentionally avoided financial discussions with a loved one or a partner because they felt like they're just supposed to have it all figured out by themselves. And it's that isolation that really adds another layer of difficulty with this.
Okay, I want my audience to remember I'm talking to Nathan Asto. He is a financial therapist and talking about a recent survey. Nathan, as the struggles continue with men, do they kind of struggle with themselves? And what I mean with themselves, do they have mental health challenges because they're having this private struggle, or do they struggle? Let me rephrase that question. Do they struggle and tell their friends like women? We tell our friends everything.
Yeah, unfortunately, men are a lot less likely to actually do that. And that's a real problem because when we isolate, it only increases our feelings of loneliness and only increases our feelings of shame. And shame is the enemy of change. Shame, we can't shame ourselves into better financial behavior or a better financial situation. So that's kind of one of the main things we need to shift a little bit here is we need to make it more okay for men to talk about these struggles with other men, with their partners, with family members, professionals, all that kind of stuff. But we got to acknowledge that men need to have a place to talk about financial struggle.
Okay, as we wrap up, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. I want to remind you guys that So leave us with some advice and a place to go and get some more advice, Nathan.
Yeah, well, first, just a reminder to everybody out there, financial struggle is not a character flaw. This isn't who you are. Uh, Start with what you can control. Start with the small steps. Start with what you do have influence over, and make sure that you aren't suffering in silence. That you are talking to people. If you don't know where to start, absolutely check out beyondfinance.com. They have a whole section of their website on financial wellness with a bunch of really good resources. So beyondfinance.com is a really great starting point.
Nathan Astolos has been very important and very interesting, and I'm sure women, see, we bring everything home. You know, I heard this on the Valder Beebe show, and maybe they can talk about that a little bit. I want to thank you for stopping by, and have a great morning.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Valder Beebe, host of The Valder Beebe Show. We have over 1,000 videos on ValderBeebeShow.com and YouTube.com/Valder Beebe Show. We upload new videos daily. Our site is a modern baby boomer platform with news and information important to boomers. Subscribe to YouTube.com/Valder Beebe Show and stay connected as I interview the world's most fascinating people.